Welcome back to Hack City. Joe DeLeone and Sean Anderson. Today's episode is presented to you by FanDuel. Lots happened in week 4 of college football. We got to direct our attention to the worst slog of a game possible with a rain delay. Hack City field reporter Ryan Roberts was at this game. 34-21. Syracuse beats Clemson. Clemson is now 1-3. Sean, I can't help but see this and need to point out and to cut through this narrative that I'm watching being built. A lot of people are just pushing this belief Clemson was overrated. Clemson's roster is not good. It was not as good as everyone thought it was. That is what's being directed by many on Twitter.
Sure.
The way that I see this is I still see a team that's very talented. I see a team that has a lot of guys that will go on to become first-round picks, will have great NFL careers. I saw a team that quit. I saw a team that gave up. I saw a lot of jogging. I did not see a team that was rallying around its former national champion winning coach. And when you have a meltdown during the week like Dabo did, it makes me really start to believe that there's problems behind closed doors that we don't know about. And I think that these players on this team are sick of the stupid grandstanding. I'm back all the way up against Dabo.
Oh, no, they're already all
grandstanding that this man has done and trying to tell everybody about how everything has to be, criticizing NIL and the money that these players are getting. And this is the product on the field.
Yeah, normally when Dabo likes to tee off, he comes back with some success. And it's like, oh, Dabo's back. Dabo made a statement. Dabo's awake now. Dabo is not awake now. Like this is a rough season. And what's confusing about this game, 2 losses in the new CFP model doesn't keep you out of it if you keep on battling and you get back. 3 losses, bad loss to Syracuse like this keeps you out of it. So if you thought that they looked defeated this week, probably going to look pretty similar next week as the chances to extend the season in the postseason diminish. It's a weird seeing Clemson lay an egg like this after seeing the preview. Like, they're too good for this. They're too good to be getting beat by 2 scores to Syracuse. It is so sloppy, so unbalanced. They had nothing right. They threw the ball 60 times. That's not what Clemson should be doing. You're not a 60-time air it out program. You know what Syracuse did? They threw it 39 times. They ran it 38 times. Clemson, 60 times, 22 rushes. Like that's not your bread and butter. So what are you trying to do with this? They have no identity right now.
And I know that part of that having to throw the ball as much as they did is the result of them going down as quickly as they were. But it all goes back to the issues that Dabo created for himself. They recruited effectively enough through high school to build this team that is competitive enough at the current moment that they're good on their O-line, their D-line, they're solid, but they didn't have depth in their O-line. So when they had injuries, they were cooked. They didn't have depth or even quality enough running backs that they had to move a receiver to running back, and they can't run the ball. They can't get early success in the run game to establish offensive consistency. Everything's out of whack by the fact that they didn't go into the transfer portal. They had fixable issues, easily resolvable issues that every other team in the country was smart and strategic and able to find fixes at. Depth, offensive linemen, it's one of the easiest things to come by in college football in the transfer portal. Finding starters is hard,
yeah,
but getting depth players, not hard. Getting 4 running backs, not hard. A lot of these teams have gone and grabbed a bunch of running backs. Missouri's an example of that. They went and got Mod Hardy, who's freaking great, and then they have this deep running back room, and they run the ball like crazy. This is all so stupid, and it's all self-inflicted, and I think this team's quit. That plain and simple, this team has quit.
Now, so we're in the modern college football transfer portal, NIL, just lumping it all together here. Mm-hmm. Modern era college football. Now everyone's catching up with Dabo. It's like he's not it anymore. He's not the front running dog. He's not the leader. So if he's not going to change with the modern college football, where does that leave him? Where could because you're not going to. I don't think he can resuscitate Clemson back to its glory pre-modern ball. So where does he go from here? Like could he work in the G5? Could he work in the NFL? But for his system specifically, I don't like the transfer portal. I don't like that stuff. Like, where does Dabo fit? Because he can coach ball. Like, I'm not going to take that away from him. But in the new structure where everyone is so modernized with it, he's not keeping up well. But I want Dabo in football. So where does he go?
Well, one, we got to reframe quickly though, because there's layers to this conversation. The current state of this team is bad. The mental state of this team is very clearly a mess. We got to remember that before he got there, Clemson was not consistently a super competitive team in terms of national championship hopes.
Sure.
They were 9-3. Good, solid, just scrappy. I think that there is a world where they go back to that and they're 9-3 and they're just steady. And if Dabo is content with living in that world, then so be it. But the other part with this,
well, I think
I kind of wonder if it ends up being like with Coach Cal at Kentucky, where both sides mutually agree to part ways, and you move on, and someone else who's really desperate for a new. I mean, shit, he could go to Arkansas. So Pittman's going to be cooked,
but he's still going to be playing this. You have to assume he would still be playing the same Dabo games at Arkansas. And would they put up with that at Arkansas? Like would a new fan base be able to put up with a guy that doesn't want to utilize the portal, that wants to just recruit? Because I think Dabo is comfortable. I don't think people are comfortable with
lovable. Pittman was a lot more lovable. I don't think Dabo is the same kind of lovable. I think his shit would get real old at a program that's got money that they're willing to throw around.
Like, is Clemson going to be comfortable enough to have, if Dabo stays, to have him be the James Franklin, where you have great seasons?
I think that he's going to be worse than Franklin, to be quite honest.
But I'm saying in that category of you're never really doing it, but you're doing a very good job. On the grand scale, you're doing great. But when it really
Coach
matters,
Cal works in this example where both sides were just like, "Hey, man, we recognize that what you did for us was great, but clearly you've been here too long."
I think there's going to be a good amount of resistance for Dabo. Everyone would want a Dabo, but they would want a Dabo that could come in and play the game. He doesn't seem like he wants to go and play the game somewhere else.
I don't know. I just think that we're at this spot now where there's no resolvability with him getting back to winning a national title. It's not gonna happen. So it has to lead to some sort of reset. And that's why the Cal example, and I brought this up with Ryan Day last year, it's the same thing where you have this gigantic buyout, and the only way that you survive with figuring out the buyout is if there is a mutual agreement of parting ways, where Dabo wants a fresh start, and he's got no tie to Clemson. He's not a former Clemson player. He's a former Alabama receiver. It'd be better off maybe going to a team like Arkansas that's got a little bit less pressure. I guess Clemson doesn't have tremendous pressure typically.
If maybe he needs like a puppet regime where he could just go right in the front, and then there's cracked staffers that are really good at all the other stuff.
Arkansas could be that. If they could Walmart money.
Yeah, that would work then. I would be comfortable with that. As long as Dabo is like, I'm still coaching Dabo ball, but there's a bunch of grinders that are crunching the numbers and wanting to actually negotiate with athletes and payments and all that stuff. I understand why Dabo wouldn't want to do it. It sounds like a pain in the ass. Modern coaching in college seems insane and probably not what he thought he signed up for. But if you want to keep coaching, you got to live with it. So yeah, maybe I try to set up the false front.
Speaking of no, that's a bad transition. I don't know where I was going with that one. We're running on fumes. It's 9:30. Texas Tech 34, Utah 10. There's no false fronts here.
No.
Dude, I am so happy about Texas Tech being good. I don't think that this is a fake win either. I don't think people realize how good that Utah team is. I think that not enough people are going to recognize Texas Tech's victory of going into one of the hardest stadiums to win. One of the hardest stadiums.
Yeah, no joke.
They mentioned on the broadcast, they said it is a top 12 loudest stadiums.
Top 18, number one in the Big 12.
Yes, that's what it was. To have Baron Morton, who's recognized as this solid quarterback who some people in the draft community really like, is one of the better, more experienced quarterbacks in college football, maybe the top 3 in the Big 12 at the very least, goes out of the game. Will Hammond comes in, looks really timid, looks freaked out. You're like, oh my God. They bring up how last week he was something like 2 for 5 with a pick against Oregon State. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, this sucks. The Texas Tech hype that I had is going to get cooked because this dude's not ready. But the freshman starts slinging it. He starts making big play, big throw after big throw. He's running. He's weaving in and out. The biggest part outside of Hammond's performance and why I think that Texas Tech is legit, the tortillas will be launched. Mm-hmm. They have a physical defense. They got athletes coming off the edge. And their offensive line is very solid. It's very solid. It's one of the best offensive lines at protecting their quarterback. They're one of the best in havoc rate in college football. I love this team.
I like Texas Tech too. They're spending a lot of the money. I don't know why. I have no allegiance or bias to any of the Texas schools. I don't. But the way that they approached it, big money, NIL, pumping it into the school and the athletics programs. It felt different than like when Texas A&M started it and they were getting bashed for being money and just payment, buying players and stuff. Texas Tech is doing a lot of similar stuff, but it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel as arrogant. It feels well done. I think you're seeing results in the field, not only with football, with the other sports. It's becoming an exciting school to start like investing time into watching and seeing what they do. They look good on the field. The jerseys are sweet. It's a good team.
I love their color scheme. I love the jerseys and the color scheme, the alternates that they have.
They're just so.
How do we get a Cody Campbell sponsorship? How do we get him to? I'll read his ad on the show.
You know what?
How do we get that?
That guy introduced himself to everybody, and it's been impactful. It's been solid, and I'm not annoyed by Cody Campbell.
Seems like a solid. I don't know anything about him. Seems like a solid dude.
I'm seeing what could be, and I think what the vision was for the money moving around in college in the new open landscape. If Texas Tech it should be an example like this. If you want to do the success and you want to do it well, Texas Tech should be one of those schools that you look at and say, wow, they're taking advantage of the opportunity. It doesn't seem like they're being dickheads. That's good to me. That's impressive to me. And if you go out and beat Utah, always feels good.
So you know where this is going to. So you bring up a good point. Texas Tech is the blueprint now for success. So one would think, okay, we got to go grab our super rich booster, and we're gonna really hope he's galvanized. You can't create that. They are in the perfect spot where this guy loves the school and he's got all this oil money. So I'm now trying to think. How soon does the Saudi Arabian oil money just start to leak it? Someone's going to sell their soul to the devil. Someone is going to do it. Someone is going to. You get full stake. I don't know who that is.
I was having a conversation with my last time I was home.
Texas State, maybe that's who it is. Like who would be? I don't mean to cut off your story. Like who would be their biggest arch nemesis in the state of Texas that could like really badly?
SMU? Would they want it bad enough? Historically, that's a program.
They've already kind of got their own bread being thrown around.
Oh, I agree, but I mean, that is a school that has historically pushed the envelope. So if they were going to push the envelope more, I mean, that's the Dallas money. It's the TikToks that you see. What's your financial flex? They're at SMU because everyone's loaded there, and they're saying ridiculous things in college.
Like it would be funny if. The way that I'm framing this is like we could have a potential battle at the top of college football between American oil money and then Saudi Arabian oil money. Like what if like UCLA? That one to me that would not feel as much pride in having to maintain it's a American ties and also has a rich alumni base that doesn't care to fund the program, so that maybe they would turn to Saudi Arabia. Maybe that's the path. What were you going to say before I cut you off?
I was going to say I was talking to my pops last time I saw him about like the possible, just about the possible like private equity stuff. I'm like, well, it's kind of like if you're really watching this, it's trending towards possible foreign investments into the private. And it was almost like a movie. So he like dropped his fork, like what the hell? I was like, oh, all right. So it seems like this would be a hot button issue for the common man, for a regular person that's not so in detail. If you present that premise to a normal person that just watches a lot of college football, they're going to lose their minds. And these people, before you start doing it, talk to normal people about it before you start making big jumps, because that's what you're going to see. You're going to see exasperation nationwide.
The thing though with this is I don't think the private equity buy of a team or the Saudi Arabian Live college football program that ends up being created, I don't think it's going to happen with a blue blood team that is just like, oh my God, we need to get back. Like the joke was Florida State would be donning Arabic letters on their helmet. But I don't think that they're the type of program that would sell themselves out like that. I know that they've explored it, and they believe they've got former players that have more so they've explored the private equity side of things, not the Saudi Arabian oil money side of things. I'm very convinced what will happen. It's going to be a team that's maybe not historically good, but is in a really good location, which is why UCLA immediately came to mind.
What about Sac State? They've been through
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
They said, oh, well,
Sac State's got like 100,000 seat stadium. Nobody's in it, but they've got corked up five-star athletes.
And Sac State.
Still FCS independence because they keep getting denied moving up.
They got denied with the initial. They couldn't go at the high rollers table. And they're like, oh, I'm winning a ton down here. I got the money down here. Let me up there. I got the chips. You don't have enough, sir. You don't.
And it's all got all the
then they're getting staked. They're like, okay, give
Silicon Valley money over there too.
Yeah.
They could double dip on it. They get the Silicon Valley money that's leaking in, and they broker a deal with Saudi Arabia. Their first $1 billion NIL funded program.
Saban comes back.
The ghost of Nick Saban comes back. God, that would be so fun. That would be the funniest possible thing that could happen. I'm kind of rooting for that.
I would.
God, now I want to do that in NCAA. I want to make make their stadium Neyland like I did with the University of Rhode Island. Do Neyland, Sac State. That would be hilarious.
God, I would if you're going to experiment on it, and I hate because we have so much love for the FCS.
Yeah,
maybe the FCS could be guinea pigs at times for how things should work out.
There's not really any market. I mean, I would. If Saudi Arabia called the University of Rhode Island, we both played for the University of Rhode Island. That's the fourth wall break for the listeners right there. I'm looking at the camera. I would broker that. Do you know anyone in Saudi Arabia? Maybe we should start making this happen.
I don't have.
The location's great.
I don't think I have many connections.
You don't know anybody from Saudi Arabia? Start picking up the phone, man. Start picking up the phone. We need to start making phone calls. Saudi Arabian University of Rhode Island, absolutely.
You think we could be the bad live broadcasters or the second team for this?
It's possible. Put us in the SEC.
Oh, God, the graphics need to get better. You just make your graphics less arcade-like. Make them professional, please. That's all you need to do. Sean,
there were a lot of embarrassing losses. We're gonna tape the night slate of games talking about those games. We're also going to get to the Oklahoma-Auburn game. Sean's Oklahoma bet on FanDuel, by the way, connected. What was that? It was Oklahoma
6.5.
6.5. So you ended up connecting on that thanks to the safety and the way
very
that
nice.
Game finished off. Oh yeah, because it was a 5-point game. If it wasn't for
I was getting torched all game.
What a backdoor cover by you on FanDuel.
Blessed.
Sean, Oklahoma. Let's talk about this before we get to some of these upsets. Mm-hmm. I thought I'm not going to talk about the aid that they had with some of the calls. I hate doing that and moaning about officiating impacting the outcome. It wasn't great.
Yeah.
So we're going to move past it. Jackson Arnold had a lot of really good throws, but his pocket awareness is brutal. Mm-mm. Going up against the defense, the 10 sacks that were allowed, awful. That offensive line is better than it looked. And I feel bad for them getting sold out by Jackson Arnold having the tough pocket awareness that he did. Here's the one thing I'm going to say about Oklahoma. The best decision that they made, and that should have been made the second that Brent Venables took the job, he should have been calling the defense from day one, because that is the most violent and physical and aggressive defense in the country. R. Mason Thomas diving and launching his full body at Jackson Arnold was one of the funniest things that we saw today. And the energy and the vibe from that whole defensive line is, I am just going to launch myself at you, and you are going to feel it.
They fly around, man. Yeah. They thump. They hit hard. I like it. Oklahoma, 10 years ago was thought of like a flashy, sweet offense, no defense, and we'll have a Heisman contender. We're going to get beat by a tougher team. They're building it. This was a game that you actually got to see the blueprints, and you actually, you put up a wall now. I'm starting to see it take place. Very solid. Happy for Venables. Venables has been a likable coach, hard-nosed. He's been focused. This was really, really solid from Oklahoma. Auburn, the fourth quarter suffocation, so much time on the clock for Auburn to go and rally back, make a score, make it close. No shot. They were absolutely in hell from the Oklahoma defense. Refreshing to see. Good to see. That is what championship teams do. The offense goes down, big score, get the lead. Defense holds them. Doesn't happen anymore. You watch the NFL, you're just taking turns until the time runs out in 2-minute drill, end of the fourth quarter situations. This, you put it together just as intended, score, stop, suffocating, stop. It's what inspires. It makes you feel good. If you're watching this team, you're an Oklahoma fan, you're like, we did it. We did it through and through. Quarter 1 to quarter 4, we won and we closed it out. It wasn't one of these like winning with kicker points BS. It was a full throttling. I very much enjoyed it. Also, Hugh Freeze again.
Yeah, I don't
like him. I don't like him, so I will double enjoy it.
I do think that Oklahoma is going to hit their ceiling this year. And I know that sounds negative, but it's not. The ceiling for the projection for the season, they had one of the widest nets for predictions for me this year, where they can go 10-2, 9-3, but the floor was low because their schedule was just so freaking hard, and their offensive line still not great. They only allowed 1 sack, but it felt like there were a lot of times where they were able to really leak through against the run, and that's an issue that maybe that pops up later on in the season, and that does lead to some of their losses. But I do see very clearly Mateer and the defense are in the elite category enough they can make up for the offensive line woes, the run game woes, that they do finish the season 10-2 or 9-3. And I think that the Texas game is going to be super exciting and competitive as well. Auburn, I have no idea what to do with this team, man, because they did get sold down the river with all of the play call. No play calls or penalty calls went their way at all. They got no love. Hugh might be slowly falling apart here. This is a bad look for waiting until the second quarter to get Cobb going and on the ground. And that was where you're having the most success. I will never understand Jackson Arnold, the desire to run him as much as they did. He's a fine athlete. Cobb is a better runner. He's your running back. He's a stout dude. He runs hard. He had the big long run that he had because he ran hard as shit. That kid should have had 25 carries in this game. And for some reason, they just let Jackson Arnold I don't mean to really rip this kid, but he was in a blender because he was touching the ball so much.
It's not his game. It's not his game to be direct snap running it right between the tackle and the guard. He's not quick or twitchy enough to do that or strong enough to power through. He's a good athlete. He should be doing what Mateer's doing. Oh, am I in trouble? Let me leak out and get 7 yards. Let me get a first down. Not, I feel pressure a little bit on the back of my neck. Now I have to run. I can't step up in the pocket and move. He's a confusing quarterback. I wouldn't let him start from a standing upright position and then try to get speed going into the line of scrimmage. It takes too much time. Defenses are too fast. It won't work for them. So it's confusing. Auburn's got some skill, though. They've got some talent. I enjoy watching the Auburn offense when it's going well. Coleman is a talent to watch. If you are a fan of wide receivers, watch him. He's spectacular with Auburn. To your first point about Oklahoma, I think they go as far as Mateer can take them. And they got a great structure on the team, a lot of dudes, thumping defense, but they win and lose with that guy because it's not a Heisman guy. He's not the typical Oklahoma, Jalen Hurts, Baker Mayfield, I'm going to boss up on you. But if he can put together some solid games, they can go. But if he drops an egg, throws 2 picks, back-breaking fumble, whatever it is, then they fall. I think with that schedule, the difficulty, they could get capped out by his poor play if it does come. But he's all heart. I think he plays well. I'm a fan of his.
Okay, so there were a number of not landscape-altering upsets that happened, but there were quite a few that were like, oh my God, how did that happen? You put together some of these upsets. What were the ones that caught your eye?
Yeah, I caught Friday night, Tulsa beating Oklahoma State 19-12. That's kind of ridiculous to me. Syracuse beating Clemson 34-21. UCF destroying UNC 34-9.
Oh, I missed this. Oh,
they got stomped. There's photos of Jordan Hudson on the sideline. It is a weird situation at UNC. And then lastly, Memphis beating Arkansas 32-31.
OK State, they've already been embarrassed, so I'm crossing them off.
That's Tulsa, though. You don't lose to Tulsa.
Clemson, hey, man, respect Tulsa. They could be a good oil money program.
No, look me in the eyes.
Saudi Arabia should pick up the phone for Tulsa. We already talked about the Clemson thing. I think they were already embarrassed last week. And we are currently UNC is already a joke. It has to be the Arkansas one. The way that they lost, fumbling late, and they had a decent lead. It looked like they were slow. It was one of those games where you had in the quad box. You looked up, and then you saw, wait, Memphis is closing in on this lead. Where is this coming from? It has to be the Memphis one for me.
I think it's UCF UNC. This Bill Belichick situation, it only gets worse and it only looks worse the more they lose and the more rough losses they take. I thought he was an all-knowing being in football. I thought he was a football god, somebody that just couldn't lose, couldn't have a misstep, couldn't make a bad decision, really. Whatever's been happening with him at North Carolina or post-Patriots is not the same guy. It's not the same hunger. I don't know what this – it doesn't compute for me. An offense and a team led by Bill Belichick putting up 9 points and losing to UCF by that much. 34 points dropped on you? That can't happen. There are some coaching issues there. Like you can't lose to UCF and have no blame on the coach because he won a bunch of Super Bowls. It eventually it's going to start falling onto him, and it makes him look bad. He never should have come to college, ever. He shouldn't have done it. He should have chased the NFL wins record. He should have gone after Shula.
Something else.
Yeah, ridiculous. If he's winning, though,
7-year-old man chasing skirts. This is crazy.
If he was beating UCF 34-9, okay, no one has a problem.
Scott Frost back, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. So you can't be Bill Belichick, and it's just a bad look for the game, for the whole sport of football. It's bad to see him going out like this.
All right, we're going to pick up talking about the night games after this quick pause. All right, we just finished watching the night slate. This is a show, Sean, where I am extremely vindicated. I was vindicated about my preseason takes about Texas Tech so far. I was vindicated right now with how Miami played against Florida and how excited I was for this Miami team going into the year, and especially for Indiana. I just want to start with Indiana really quickly. Didn't have super close eyes on this game because it got super lopsided really quick while I was doing my Notre Dame recap on Bleacher Report. I missed this game turning into an ass whooping, and then it was frankly quite boring to watch because it was just big run play after big run play. Illinois was in a blender. And as two individuals who got smoked by Cignetti when we were playing in college and he was at JMU and he was at Elon, he worked us. This is the shit that he does. The disrespect, the assumption that, hey, this Indiana team, what are they? There's a bunch of new faces. Win 63-10. Fernando Mendoza was freaking awesome. 21 of 23 for 5 touchdowns. I feel like I saw the explosive team that I thought they could be when they brought in Mendoza, when they brought in all these new bodies to the offensive line. Their defensive line was experienced. It was fast. It was physical. All these things. This Indiana team is legit, and I think they're going to get back to a playoff if they keep playing like that.
The reaction last year was like a victory lap when Cignetti had a loss, because people don't like a new winner on the block, and they hate having to learn about a new coach that they weren't familiar with, that came out and said, I win where I go. And every time that he lost, it felt like people were just celebrating. This is what it's going to be, more of this than it is embarrassing losses at Indiana with him. And that's the new reality of Indiana football. Illinois, correct me, please, if I'm wrong. Were they a slouch this year?
They were the second most experienced, or they were one of the most experienced teams in college football coming back this year. So they were expected to be in the conversation of being a top team. I think it was a circumstance. They're still a solid team. I think it was a circumstance where they were not as good as we thought that they were. I don't think this is an Oklahoma State type situation where when they got to the Big 12 championship game in 2023, they brought back all those guys, and in 2024 they were complete cheeks suddenly overnight that they just looked better than they actually were. They were experienced. They're just not as sexy as I think everyone thought. And the game got away from them, and Cignetti was trying to send a message.
I like the message that he sent. I'm not here to mess around. And if we're in the Big Ten talking and people want to talk about us being a legitimate, real deal conference that, if the SEC is weak, then there's got to be someone that replaces the SEC at the top. This is a win that makes it look like I don't want to play Indiana. I wouldn't want to play them. Mm-mm. Why would I want to take that chance? Even if you have scheme or better athletes, a risk of something like this happening to a top 10 team is possible. That is a dangerous team. Watch out for Indiana. And they're exciting. I like the Indiana's good. Give me an upstart Big Ten team instead of the same slog that it feels like with the middle teams in this conference.
They will have tests against Penn State and Oregon, so they're going to be a lot more challenged this year than last year, but already some really positive signs for the Indiana squad. Lastly, Miami holds on against Florida, close game, and then eventually they really start to separate. This, I think, was one of those games where you start to see what the vision was going into the season, where Carson Beck was going to provide a lot of veteran leadership, but when he doesn't play well, you needed something to turn to. You needed a more consistent run game. You needed something more, something reliable that you didn't have last year. So when Cam Ward, he was stellar in every single game, but when they needed to slow the game down or they just needed to churn out tough yards, they couldn't really do it on a steady basis. Running the ball it felt laborious. It just didn't seem like something that was easily accomplished. This game where you have Beck going 17 of 30, he has the pick, the crazy play by Cormani McClain hawking down that pass, doesn't see him coming. It's not really a bad read because no one expects a kid like that to be able to cover that much ground that quickly with his length and his speed. But to have Mark Fletcher get 116, to have Marty Brown to have 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. They didn't need Carson Beck to play at his best going up against a team that is pretty solid defensively. They just needed to run the rock, and it won them the ball game. And also, their defense took over.
You know what? I think I'm man enough to admit that I misjudged the character of this Miami team this year because of the guy that's playing quarterback for him and seeing what happened at the tail end of Georgia with Carson Beck. I didn't believe in Miami. I thought they would revert to pre-Cam Ward Miami, the confusion, some softness, weird losses. That's not what I saw tonight against Florida. Holding DJ Lagway to 61 passing yards, 4 quarters, 61 yards. That's tough guy football on the defense. Their offensive line, impressive. If you like offensive line play, just watch how they work.
Yeah, you were geeking out while we were sitting and watching.
It's going to be a fun watch for me for those 5 up front all season. They get vertical in the run game. It is exciting, churn them up football. How many plays did we see where a running back would just get stood up and he kept going for like another 5 to 10 yards this game? That is
so that was the sick part too, by the way, where you're watching, they're pushing the pile, it was a pure will.
That's a want thing with football. It's totally a want thing. And people can feel it. I know a lot of people they can't articulate how they feel when they just say, my team sucked today. Why did they suck? Well, extra yards BS like that. Giving it up like a Florida fan would be like, DJ didn't have a good day. Maybe our receivers weren't getting open that well. We couldn't run the ball. But little want stuff like that, that's what really breaks a person apart when they're watching their team lose. Is I know that they could, but they aren't, and another team is imposing their will. Miami they're doing a tremendous job this whole season of doing that.
Absolutely.
Completely surprised me.
Absolutely. That's going to be it from us, folks. We will be back with our FCS show tomorrow, and we will be doing the Bets show on Thursday, as always, live on this channel, on the NFL channel, and our NFL live show on Monday. Do we do it on Monday? What day?
Monday. Yeah, we're talking NFL Monday.
At Joe DeLeone at Anderson Radio. Call and leave us a voicemail, 201-834-4308. We'll talk to you later.